Hey guys, okay, in Mark 9, verse 2, it's talking about the transfiguration of Christ. And I wanted to share this with you because I think it has some significance behind it comparing to what I've been shown and the things that we've been seeing here. It says, and he said, this is in verse 1, and he said unto them, Verily I say unto you, there be some of them that stand here which shall not taste death till they have seen the kingdom of God come with glory. And after 6 days Jesus taketh with him Peter and James and John, and leadeth them up into a high mountain apart by themselves, and he was transfigured before them. And his raiment became shining, exceeding white as snow, so as no fuller on earth can white them. And there appeared unto them Elias with Moses, and they were talking with Jesus. And Peter answered and said unto Jesus, Master, it is good for us to be here, and let us make 3 tabernacles, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elias. I'm going to stop right there. This is one of the reasons why I think that Moses and Elijah will be the 2 end-time witnesses, because they were also, remember Moses was on Mount Sinai when he was given the 10 Commandments, and then Elias was on Mount Carmel or Mount Hermon, I'm thinking, or maybe this was Mount Hermon, but he was on a mountain when Jesus spoke to him, which mountains are very significant. As I've talked before with y'all, we've got Mount Sinai that were, something significant when Jesus appeared and spoke to Moses, and then we've got Mount Transfiguration where Jesus was transformed. And there is a little bit of debate. They argue back and forth about Mount Tabor and Mount Hermon. And then you've got Mount Zion in the end. So there's something going on with these mountains, and it seems like it's around a dispensational period when these occur. But I will proceed because I also think it's significant that Peter, James, and John were the ones that were allowed to go to the top during this transfiguration, which means that they had to be of the righteous apostles out of the 12. They were closer to Jesus, and maybe it was because they were walking in full. A lot of times people say, Peter was not as, he would say things out of context, but God knew Peter's heart, and he was loud, and he was a fisherman, and James and John were loud, and that just goes to show you that Jesus really looks on the inside. He's not concerned with outward things other than, the fact that you're trying to do right by him, and he can see that from the inside, whereas we can't. But also in verse 7 it says, and there was a cloud that overshadowed them, because here Peter's saying, I think Peter was a little struck at what he was witnessing, and he was, requesting that they make tabernacles for each of them. And God saw that, he was not wanting to exalt Moses and Elias. I think he was trying to do it out of respect and honor for all 3 of them, because he knew they were important. But, God is a jealous God, and so he wants to make a statement here. He says in verse 7, and there was a cloud that overshadowed them, and the voice came out of the cloud saying, This is my beloved Son, hear him. And suddenly when they had looked round about, they saw no man any more, save Jesus only with themselves. And in Mark 3, verse 13, it says, And he goeth up into a mountain, and calleth unto him who he would. And they came unto him, and he ordained 12 that they should be with him, and that he might send them forth to preach, and to have power to heal sicknesses, and to cast out devils. And Simon he surnamed Peter, and James the son of Zebedee, and John the brother of James, and he surnamed them Boanerges, which is the sons of thunder. Okay, I'm going to stop there. Simon, which is from the original word Shimeon, is hearkening, which you guys know means to listen attentively, to hear a sound, to listen for a sound. And he changed his name to Peter, stone, which means stone or rock. And then James and John, he named them the sons of thunder. And notice how the word is called Boanerges. It's interesting to me that it almost sounds like energy, a sound of energy, which also means the a light, a lightness, a sound of lightness. And sound travels like light, just like thunder. You can hear it, but you can't see it. I just thought these things were interesting, and I am going to continue the study in the back where it also talks about in Revelations the seven thunders. Thanks for listening, guys. Okay, and here we have Peter, James, and John, the sequence of them. Peter means stone or rock. Is this sounding similar to some of the stuff we've been talking about? The rock, the keystone, the cornerstone. James comes from the name Jacob, which means subplanter. And here we are back with the seeds being subplanted. And John means the grace of God. By the grace of God, the bride comes in to the head of Jesus by submission. Here we are. Remember the bride, the seed, the cornerstone, the keystone. We've been talking about this all week and how it is the seal of the dollar bill. Here it is again. The top of it was rejected, which is similar to the cornerstone. And it's also the great seal. Again, this was rejected. Here it's showing the seal. Are you guys getting it? Once we come into the fullness, we'll be sealed. These guys were the only, Peter, James, and John were the only ones that went up to the Mount Transfiguration with Jesus. Transfiguration in our English meaning is for metamorphosis. The mountain kind of resembles the seal. And it also looks like a house. Here's the mountain.